I wasn't supposed to survive tonight. That's what their eyes said when I walked through those gilded doors alone, unmated and completely out of place. They whispered it behind champagne flutes and designer masks. Poor thing. Coming to the Beaumont Gala without an alpha. How pathetic. But what they didn't know, what no one knew, was that I had stopped caring about their opinions the night my ex-alpha left me bleeding on the bathroom floor of his penthouse, telling me I was too broken to ever be claimed. I came here tonight to prove something. To myself, to him, to every single person in this room who thought an unmated Omega had no place among New Orleans' elite. I just didn't expect the three most powerful alphas in North America to walk through those doors and change everything. My name is Luca Moreau, and I've spent the last 6 months learning how to breathe again. The Beaumont Annual Charity Gala wasn't exactly my scene: crystal chandeliers, imported marble floors, and alphas dripping in old money and older bloodlines. But my best friend Camille worked for the event planning company, and she'd slipped me an invitation with a note that said, "Stop hiding, live." So here I was, standing near the champagne fountain in a borrowed suit that fit a little too tight across my shoulders, watching couples spin across the dance floor like they'd been born knowing how to belong. I tugged at my collar. The suppressants I'd taken that morning were strong, masking my scent almost completely, but anxiety had a way of making them wear thin. I could feel the familiar panic starting to creep up my spine, the urge to run, to hide, to make myself smaller. Is he alone? The voice came from my left. Two women in glittering gowns, their mated marks visible on their necks, stared at me like I was a stray dog wandering into a 5-star restaurant. Oh my God, he is. The taller one covered her mouth, but her eyes gleamed with cruel amusement. Who comes to the Beaumont Gala without a date, especially an Omega? My jaw tightened. I'd prepared for this. I knew what I was walking into, but knowing something and feeling it were two very different things. Maybe he's desperate, the shorter woman said, loud enough for me to hear. You know how some Omegas get when they can't find an alpha? Clingy. Sad. I grabbed a champagne flute from a passing waiter and took a long sip, forcing myself to stay calm. Don't react. Don't give them the satisfaction. Or maybe a smooth, accented voice cut through the noise. He doesn't need an alpha to validate his worth. I turned. A man stood a few feet away, leaning casually against one of the marble pillars. He was older than me, maybe late 30s, with silver streaking through his dark hair and sharp green eyes that seemed to see straight through every wall I'd built around myself. He wore an expensive suit like it was a second skin, and there was something about the way he held himself that screamed power. An alpha. Obviously, the two women's faces went pale. "Mais, Monsieur Archambault," the tall one stammered. "We didn't mean—" "You meant exactly what you said." His voice was soft, dangerous. "Now leave." They scattered like frightened birds. I stared at the stranger, unsure whether to feel grateful or humiliated. "I didn't need you to do that." "I know." He straightened, his eyes never leaving mine. "But I wanted to." There was something in his gaze, something that made my pulse kick up, made my suppressants feel suddenly fragile. He tilted his head slightly, as if catching a scent he couldn't quite place. "Etienne Archambault," he said, extending a hand. "And you are?" "Leaving," I muttered, turning toward the exit. But before I could take a step, the massive double doors at the front of the ballroom swung open, and everything stopped. The room went silent. Not the polite kind of quiet that comes when someone important walks in. This was the kind of silence that felt like the air itself had been sucked out of the space, like everyone had forgotten how to breathe. 3 men stepped through the doorway. No, not men. Alphas. The kind that made every instinct in my body scream both run and stay at the same time. They moved like wolves, graceful, lethal, perfectly in sync. The first one was tall and broad-shouldered, with dark hair swept back and a face carved from stone. Cold, controlled. His eyes swept the room, like he was cataloging every threat, every weakness. The second was leaner, with golden brown skin and ink-black hair that fell across his forehead. He smiled as he walked, but it wasn't friendly. It was the kind of smile a predator gives right before it strikes. The third was different, softer features, warm brown eyes. He looked almost gentle compared to the other two, until you saw the way he carried himself. The quiet confidence that said he didn't need to prove anything to anyone. The Devereaux princes, someone whispered behind me. My stomach dropped. Everyone in North America knew the Devereaux name. The alpha family that controlled half the country's wealth, politics, and territory. Ruthless, untouchable, dangerous, and they were here. The cold one, Dominic, I think his name was, scanned the crowd. His gaze moved across the room slowly, methodically, and then it landed on me. Mini cliffhanger. 6 to 7. Our eyes locked. For a moment, the world tilted sideways. I felt it a pull, sharp and undeniable, like a hook sinking into my chest and yanking. My suppressants flickered. My scent leaked through. Just a hint. Just enough. His nostrils flared. The second prince's head snapped toward me. Then the third. All three of them stared at me like I'd just set off a bomb in the middle of the ballroom. No, I whispered. No, no, no. Etienne's hand landed on my shoulder, steadying me. Breathe. But I couldn't breathe, because Dominic Devereaux was walking toward me, and his brothers were right behind him. The crowd parted like the sea, everyone stepping back, their faces a mix of shock and confusion. Whispers erupted around us. Why are they? Is that the Omega who came alone? What's happening? Dominic stopped 3 feet away from me. Up close, he was even more devastating. Sharp jaw, ice blue eyes, and a presence that made my knees weak. You, he said, his voice low and rough. What's your name? I couldn't speak. My mouth had gone dry. The second prince stepped closer, his smile turning wolfish. Answer him, chair. The third one tilted his head, studying me like I was a puzzle he couldn't solve. You're sent. You're sent. It's impossible, Dominic murmured, his eyes locked on mine. But it's real. It's real. And then, in front of everyone, in front of the entire ballroom full of high society, alphas and omegas and betas, who had mocked me just minutes ago, Dominic Devereaux dropped to one knee, his brothers followed. We've been searching for you, Dominic said, his voice carrying across the silent room. Our Omega, our mate. The champagne flute slipped from my hand and shattered on the marble floor. The sound of glass hitting marble echoed in my ears, or maybe that was just my heartbeat, thundering so loud I thought everyone could hear it. 3 princes, on their knees, in front of me. This isn't real. This can't be real. Get up, I whispered, my voice barely audible. Dominic's ice blue eyes never left mine. Not until you acknowledge what you are to us. I don't even know you. My hands trembled at my sides. The room was spinning, or maybe I was spinning. I couldn't tell anymore. You can't walk in here and, you're sent, the second prince interrupted, rising smoothly to his feet. He moved closer, and I stumbled back a step. It's magnolia and thunder. Do you have any idea how rare that is? I don't care how rare it is. My back hit the marble pillar. Trapped. I'm not yours. I'm not anyone's. The third prince stood now too, his warm brown eyes softening with something that looked almost like understanding. You're scared. That's okay. I'm not scared. I lied. I'm leaving. I tried to move past them, but Dominic rose to his full height, blocking my path. He didn't touch me, didn't have to. His presence alone was a wall. You feel it, he said quietly, and there was something almost vulnerable in his voice, something that made my chest ache. Don't lie and tell me you don't. I did feel it. That pull, that wrongness in my bones that had been there my whole life, like I'd been missing something essential, and now it was standing right in front of me, looking at me like I was the answer to a question I'd never asked. But I'd trusted that feeling before. Trusted an alpha who swore I was special, who promised to protect me, and he'd nearly killed me. No, I breathed. I don't feel anything. The second prince laughed sharp and bitter. He's lying through his teeth, Dom. Julien, Dominic warned, but his brother ignored him. Julien stepped closer, invading my space with a predatory grace that made my suppressants scream in protest. You know what I think, petit mentor. His voice dropped to a whisper. I think you're terrified because you do feel it. And that scares you more than anything. Back off, I snapped, shoving at his chest. He caught my wrist. Gently. But the moment his skin touched mine, fire shot up my arm. I gasped. His eyes widened. Merde, he breathed. The third prince moved forward, concern etched across his features. Julien? Let him go. Théo. Did you feel that? Julien's grip loosened, but didn't release. His thumb brushed across my pulse point, and I shivered despite myself. That's not just compatibility. That's a soul bond, Dominic finished, his voice tight, controlled. But I could see it in his eyes, the same shock, the same hunger that was radiating off his brother. A triple soul bond. The room erupted. Gasps. Whispers. Someone's phone camera flashed. Impossible. That hasn't happened in centuries. An unmated Omega? Him? The voices pressed in from all sides, suffocating me. I yanked my hand free from Julien's grip and pressed my palm against the pillar, trying to ground myself. This isn't happening, I muttered. This is not happening. Théo's hand hovered near my shoulder, not touching, but close enough that I could feel the warmth radiating from his skin. Hey, breathe. Just breathe. Don't tell me to breathe. I whirled on him, and the gentleness in his eyes almost broke me. You don't get to do this. Any of you. You don't get to walk into my life and turn it upside down because of some scent or bond or whatever this is. It's not just a bond, Dominic said, his voice cutting through the noise. The room quieted instantly. It's fate. I laughed harsh and bitter. Fate? You want to talk to me about fate? I pushed past Théo, my chest heaving. The last alpha who claimed fate left me with 3 broken ribs and a terror of being touched. So forgive me if I'm not exactly thrilled about this magical destiny you're trying to sell me. The air shifted. All 3 of them went deadly still. Who? Dominic's voice was barely human. Who hurt you? It doesn't matter. Who? The word cracked like a whip, and I flinched despite myself. Théo's hand finally landed on my shoulder, steady, grounding. Dom. Not here. Not now. But Dominic's eyes were blazing, his control fracturing at the edges. Give me a name. Why? I shot back. So you can play the avenging alpha? I don't need that. I don't need you. You're lying again, Julien said softly, and there was no mockery in his voice now. Just sadness. You do need us. You just don't trust us yet. The truth of it hit me like a fist to the gut, because he was right. I did need them. Or at least, some broken, desperate part of me wanted to need them. Wanted to believe that maybe, just maybe, this could be different. But wanting something and surviving it were 2 very different things. I need air. I choked out. I didn't wait for permission. I pushed through the crowd, ignoring the stares, the whispers, the cameras. The gilded doors were 20 feet away. 15. 10. A hand caught my elbow. Etienne. Slowly, he murmured, his green eyes sharp. They'll chase. And trust me, boy, those 3 don't know how to lose. I don't care. You should. He steered me toward a side door, away from the main entrance. The Devereaux princes don't make claims lightly. If they've bonded to you, there's a reason. I didn't ask for a reason. No, he agreed. But you're going to get one anyway. He pushed open the door, revealing a quiet hallway lined with oil paintings and soft lighting. The noise from the ballroom faded. I sagged against the wall, pressing my palms to my eyes. This is insane. Welcome to high society, mon cher. Etienne's voice was dry. It only gets worse from here. Footsteps echoed down the hallway. I knew who it was before I even looked up. All 3 of them. Moving toward me like a storm I couldn't outrun. Dominic stopped first, his jaw tight. We're not here to hurt you. Then what are you here for? My voice cracked. Théo spoke, his tone gentle. To protect you. To know you. To claim what's ours. Julien finished, and his smile was back sharp and dangerous. Whether you're ready or not, what's hotter taunt you, end quote. My breath hitched, and Dominic stepped closer, close enough that I could see the silver flecks in his blue eyes, close enough that his scent cedar and smoke, and something wild wrapped around me like a vice. "Run if you want," he murmured. "But we'll follow. Every step, every breath, until you understand what you are to us." His hand lifted, hovering near my face. Not touching, waiting. "And what am I?" I whispered. His eyes burned into mine. "Everything." The word hung in the air between us like a loaded gun. Everything. I wanted to laugh, to scream, to shove him away and tell him he was insane, that I wasn't everything to anyone. I was barely holding myself together most days, duct tape and willpower keeping the broken pieces from scattering across the floor. But the way he looked at me, God, the way all three of them looked at me, like I was air, like I was salvation, like I mattered. "You don't know me," I said, hating how my voice shook. "You can't say things like that when you don't even know my name." Dominic's hand finally dropped, but he didn't step back. "Then tell me." I didn't step back. "Luca." The word came out before I could stop it. "Luca Moreau." "Luca," Théo repeated softly, testing it on his tongue. Something about the way he said it, gentle, reverent, made my chest tighten. "It suits you, does it?" Julien tilted his head, his dark eyes glittering with something dangerous. "Because right now, Luca looks like he's about to bolt. Can you blame me?" I shot back. "Three alphas I've never met just declared me their mate in front of half of New Orleans elite. Forgive me if I'm not throwing myself at your feet in gratitude." "We don't want gratitude." Dominic's voice was rough, raw. "We want..." "What? What do you want?" I pushed off the wall, anger finally overriding fear. "Because from where I'm standing, this looks like three entitled alphas who saw something shiny and decided they had to have it. Well, I'm not a trophy. I'm not a prize. And I sure as hell am not going to be claimed by anyone, bond or no bond." The temperature in the hallway dropped. Julien's smile vanished. "Careful, Cher." "Or what?" I stepped toward him, reckless now. "You'll force me? Lock me up? That's what alphas do, right? When omegas don't fall in line?" His jaw clenched. For a moment, I thought he might actually lose his temper, might show me the violence I knew was lurking beneath that pretty face. But Théo moved between us, his broad shoulders blocking Julien from view. "No one's forcing anything." His brown eyes found mine. "We're not him, Luca. Whoever hurt you, we're not him." "You don't know that," I whispered. "You can't promise that." "Yes, I can." The certainty in his voice almost undid me. Dominic exhaled slowly, regaining control. "You want honesty?" "We came because our seer told us we'd find our third here." I blinked. "You're... what?" "Every generation, the Devereaux line produces a triad bond," Théo explained quietly. "Three alphas, one omega. It's how our family has maintained power for centuries through perfectly balanced bonds that make us stronger than any single mated pair." My stomach twisted. "So this is political?" "No." Dominic's response was immediate, almost violent. "This is survival. Théo and Julien and I, we've been incomplete our entire lives. Like walking around with half a soul. And then tonight, I walked through those doors and I smelled you, and..." He stopped, swallowed hard. "And everything made sense." Julien finished, his voice uncharacteristically soft. "For the first time in 32 years, everything made sense." I shook my head, backing away. No, you don't get to put that on me. I didn't ask to be your missing piece. Neither did we." Théo's honesty cut deeper than any lie could have. "But here we are." "Three. Here we are," I echoed bitterly. Etienne, who'd been silent this whole time, cleared his throat. "Perhaps we should move this conversation somewhere more private. The walls here have ears." As if on cue, footsteps echoed from the main hallway. Voices. Getting closer. Saw them go this way. "Can't believe the Devereaux princes found their omega. Who even is he? Does anyone know his family?" Dominic's expression darkened. "We need to leave. Now." "I'm not going anywhere with you," I said. "Then you'll stay here and be torn apart by society vultures?" Julien raised an eyebrow. "Because that's what's about to happen. Every unmated alpha in that ballroom is going to want to challenge our claim. Every beta journalist is going to want your story. And every omega, his smile turned cruel, is going to want to destroy you for catching what they couldn't. My blood ran cold because I knew he was right. The moment I stepped back into that ballroom, I'd be marked, hunted, dissected. There's a car waiting in the east garage, Théo said gently. Just let us get you somewhere safe, somewhere quiet, and then if you still want to walk away, we won't stop you. You promise? The three of them exchanged glances. We promise, Dominic said finally. But Luca, his eyes met mine, and there was something almost desperate in them. Give us 1 hour. 1 hour to explain what this bond means, what you mean, and if after that you still want nothing to do with us, we'll let you go. Lie. My instincts screamed. It was a lie. But underneath that, deeper, a treacherous whisper that sounded suspiciously like hope. What if it's not? The voices were getting closer. Etienne touched my shoulder. Decide quickly, boy. I looked at Dominic, at Julien's sharp edges and Théo's gentle strength, at three alphas who should have terrified me but instead made me feel something. Something I didn't have a name for yet. Something dangerous. 1 hour, I said hoarsely, and then I walk. Relief flickered across all three faces. Dominic nodded once. 1 hour. He turned, gesturing down the hallway. Julien moved first, all predatory grace. Théo waited, clearly planning to walk beside me. I took a step forward, and that's when the world exploded. The wall to my right shattered inward, brick and plaster and smoke erupting into the hallway. I hit the ground hard, my ears ringing, my lungs screaming for air. Through the dust and chaos, I saw figures. 3 of them, masked, armed, moving straight toward me. Luca! Théo's roar cut through the noise. Hands grabbed me rough, painful. I thrashed, but something sharp pricked my neck. Cold spread through my veins. Got him, a voice growled. Move, move. No, Dominic's voice. Feral, barely human. The last thing I saw before the darkness took me was ice-blue eyes blazing with murder and 3 alphas tearing through smoke and rubble like avenging demons. Then nothing. Pain bloomed behind my eyes, first sharp, insistent, dragging me up from the dark. My mouth tasted like copper and chemicals. My wrists ached. Cold bit into my skin. Move. You need to move. I forced my eyes open. Concrete ceiling. Flickering fluorescent light. The smell of mildew and something else. Something metallic and wrong. I was sitting in a chair. My hands were zip-tied behind my back, the plastic cutting into my wrists. My legs were free, but when I tried to stand, my body screamed in protest. Whatever they'd injected me with was still working its way through my system, making everything feel distant and sluggish. He's awake. The voice came from my left. I turned my head too fast. The world tilted and saw one of the masked figures leaning against a metal door. He'd removed his mask now. Young, maybe mid-20s. Scar cutting through his left eyebrow. Good, another voice answered. Older, rougher. The boss wants him conscious for this part. My pulse kicked up. Conscious? For what part? I tugged at the zip ties, testing their strength. Tight. Too tight to slip out of, without dislocating something. The door opened, and a woman walked in. She was beautiful in that cold, calculated way, platinum blonde hair pulled back in a severe bun, designer suit that probably cost more than my entire year's rent, and eyes like chips of gray ice. She studied me the way someone might study an insect pinned to a board. Luca Moreau, she said, her French accent crisp. Do you know who I am? I said nothing. Her smile was blade thin. No. Allow me to introduce myself. Celeste Devereaux, Dominic, Julien, and Théo's aunt. My blood turned to ice. Oh, I see you understand now. She moved closer, her heels clicking against the concrete. You're wondering why the beloved aunt would kidnap her nephew's fated mate. It's a fair question. Let me go. I managed, my voice rough. I will, Eventually, she crouched down, eye level with me. But first, you're going to listen very carefully to what I have to say, because your life and theirs depends on it. I wanted to spit in her face. Tell her to go to hell. But the cold certainty in her eyes stopped me. The Devereaux triad bond, she continued, is not a blessing, it's a curse. Every generation, 3 alphas find their omega, and every generation, that bond destroys them. My grandfather went mad trying to protect his mate, killed 17 people before they put him down. My father's triad ended in a murder-suicide that nearly collapsed the entire family empire. She stood, pacing slowly. And now my nephews, brilliant, powerful, essential to everything we've built, have found you. An unmated omega, with no family, no connections, no protection. Do you understand what that means? That you're insane? I bit out. Her hand moved faster than I could track, cracking across my face hard enough to snap my head sideways. Pain exploded through my jaw. It means, she said calmly, that you're a liability. The bond will consume them, make them weak, reckless. They'll burn down everything our family has built for centuries just to keep you safe, and I won't allow that. Blood dripped from my split lip. I worked my jaw, making sure nothing was broken. So what's your plan? Kill me? God, no. That would trigger the bond death spiral. They'd follow you into the grave within weeks. She shook her head. No, I'm going to give you a choice, a real one, unlike the pretty lies my nephews will tell you. She pulled something from her pocket, a syringe filled with clear liquid. My heart hammered against my ribs. This, she said, holding it up to the light, is a bond suppressant. Experimental, permanent. 1 injection and the connection between you and my nephews will sever completely. You'll feel nothing. They'll feel nothing. You can walk away, live your life, and they can find proper mates omegas from good families who understand the responsibility that comes with the Devereaux name. And if I refuse, her smile was pitying, then I'll make sure you disappear. Thoroughly. They'll search for you for years, decades even. The bond will drive them slowly insane, but at least they'll still be functional. At least the family will survive. Rage burned through the fog of drugs still clouding my system. You're going to torture them, condemn them to a lifetime of suffering because you care more about your family's reputation than their happiness? I care about their survival. Her voice turned sharp. You don't know what the bond does, boy. How it twists good men into monsters. How it makes them choose you over duty, over family, over everything that matters. I watched my father put a gun to his own head because his omega was dying and he couldn't bear to live without her. I will not watch my nephews do the same. The door burst open. Scarface stumbled back. Boss, we have a problem. The wall exploded, not the door. The wall. Concrete and rebar and dust erupted inward. And through the smoke came 3 figures moving like death itself. Dominic led, his eyes blazing gold, a full alpha shift, something I'd only seen in movies. Théo was right behind him, blood streaming from a cut above his eye. Julien brought up the rear, and there was something in his hands that looked disturbingly like a gun. Away from him, Dominic snarled, and his voice wasn't human anymore. Celeste didn't even flinch. Dominic, be reasonable. Now. The command in that single word made my omega instinct scream, submit, obey, yield. Celeste stepped back, hands raised. You're making a mistake. The only mistake, Théo growled, moving toward me, was thinking we wouldn't tear this city apart to find him. His hands were gentle as they cut through the zip ties. I gasped as blood rushed back into my wrists. Can you stand? His voice was soft now, concerned. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. Julien kept his gun trained on Celeste. You have 10 seconds to explain why I shouldn't end you right here. Because I'm trying to save you. Her composure finally cracked. All of you. This bond will destroy you the way it's destroyed every triad before you. I'm trying to protect. We don't need your protection. Dominic's words were ice. We need you. Gone. Théo helped me to my feet. My legs shook, but his arm around my waist kept me steady. His scent pine and rain and something warm wrapped around me, and for the first time since I'd woken up, I could breathe. "You'll regret this," Celeste said quietly. "When the bond takes hold, when you lose yourselves to it, you'll remember I tried to save you." Dominic's eyes met hers. "Get out of New Orleans. Tonight, if I ever see you near him again." He didn't finish the threat. He didn't have to. They led me through the destroyed wall, through what looked like an abandoned warehouse. Bodies unconscious, I hoped littered the ground. The exit was 50 feet away. 40, 30. My legs gave out. Théo caught me before I hit the ground, scooping me up like I weighed nothing. "I've got you," he murmured. "You're safe now." Safe. The word felt foreign. Impossible. I looked up at him, at the blood on his face and the fierce protectiveness in his eyes, and something inside me cracked. "She's right," I whispered. "This bond, it's going to destroy you." His arms tightened around me. "Then let it. And God help me." I almost believed him. The words echoed in my head as Théo carried me through the warehouse exit into the humid New Orleans night. Then let it. Like destruction was an acceptable price. Like burning down everything for me made sense. "Put me down," I said. "You can't walk. Put me down." Théo hesitated, then slowly set me on my feet. His hands hovered near my waist, ready to catch me if I fell. I hated how much I wanted to lean into that touch. A black SUV idled at the curb. Dominic opened the back door, his eyes still that unnatural gold. "Get in. We need to move before." "Before what?" I stepped back, my legs trembling but holding. "Before your aunt sends reinforcements? Before the rest of your family decides I'm too much of a risk?" "Luca," Julien started. "No." I shook my head, immediately regretting it as the world spun. "I need answers. Real ones. Not the pretty version you think I want to hear." Dominic's jaw clenched. "This isn't the place. Then make it the place." I was shouting now, months of fear and anger and exhaustion pouring out. "Because I'm not getting in that car, I'm not going anywhere with you until you tell me the truth." "Is she right? Will this bond destroy you?" Silence. The three of them exchanged glances, some wordless conversation I wasn't part of. "Yes," Dominic finally said. The honesty gutted me. "If we're not careful," he continued, his voice rough, "if we let the bond consume us without boundaries, without control, yes, it could destroy us. It could make us into the monsters my family has produced for generations." "Then why?" My voice cracked. "Why risk it? Why not just let me go?" Because Théo moved closer, and there was anguish written across his face. "Because living without you would destroy us faster." Julien lit a cigarette with shaking hands, the first sign of vulnerability I'd seen from him. "You want the truth? Fine, here it is." He took a long drag. "For 32 years, I've felt like I was drowning. Like there was this wrongness in my chest that nothing could fix. Not power, not money, not any of the dozens of omegas who threw themselves at us, hoping to be the one." He laughed. "Bitter. And then you walked into that ballroom, and I could breathe. For the first time in my entire life, I could breathe." "That's not fair," I whispered. "No," he agreed. "It's not. Nothing about this is fair. Not to you, not to us. But it's real. And I'm not going to apologize for wanting to keep the one thing that makes me feel human." Dominic stepped forward, and the gold was fading from his eyes now, leaving behind something more vulnerable, more raw. "My aunt is right about one thing: the bond can be dangerous, but she's wrong about why." He stopped inches from me. "It's not dangerous because it makes us weak. It's dangerous because it makes us see. Every lie we've told ourselves, every wall we've built, the bond strips it all away." His hand lifted, hovering near my face. "Not touching. Waiting. And when I look at you," he continued, voice dropping to almost a whisper, "I see someone who's been hurt, someone who's learned to survive by making himself small, invisible, safe. Someone who's terrified that if he lets himself want something, it'll be ripped away." Tears burned behind my eyes. "Stop. I see someone who thinks he's broken, Dominic continued, relentless. But Luca, his fingers finally made contact, brushing away a tear I hadn't realized had fallen. You're not broken. You're surviving. And that's the bravest thing I've ever seen. A sob tore from my throat before I could stop it. Théo's arms came around me from behind, solid and warm. We're not asking you to trust us, he murmured against my hair. We know we haven't earned that, but let us protect you. Let us prove that not all alphas are like the one who hurt you. You don't understand. I was shaking now, falling apart. He didn't just hurt me. He broke me. I don't know how to. Then we'll put you back together, Julien said quietly, dropping his cigarette and crushing it beneath his heel. Piece by piece. However long it takes, I wanted to believe them. God, I wanted to believe them so badly it physically hurt, but Celeste's words kept echoing. The bond will consume them, make them weak, reckless. What if she's right? I pulled away from Théo, needing space to think. What if I do destroy you? What if, then we'll burn together? Dominic's certainty was terrifying, but I'd rather burn with you than spend another 30 years feeling half alive. That's insane. Yes, he agreed. It is. A car engine roared in the distance. Headlights cut through the dark. Julien tensed. We need to leave. Now. Well, but I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Because there was something I needed to know first. Something that would determine everything. My ex-alpha, I said, the words tasting like ash. His name was Marcus Beaumont. He's a real estate developer. Powerful family, connections everywhere. I forced myself to meet Dominic's eyes. If I go with you, if I let this bond happen, he'll come for me. He'll try to take me back, and people will get hurt. Dominic's expression went cold. Deadly. Beaumont. Julien's voice was soft. Dangerous. As in the Beaumont gala? Beaumont? I nodded. The one we were just at. Théo's arms tightened around me. The one who's probably still there. Horror washed through me. Oh God. He saw you claim me. He saw. Good, Dominic said, and there was something almost feral in his smile. Let him see. Let him understand exactly what he lost. The approaching car was closer now. 2 cars. 3. Luca. Dominic's hand extended toward me. We can stand here and wait for whoever's coming, my aunt's people, your ex, whoever else wants to rip us apart. Or you can get in the car, and we can figure this out, somewhere safe. There's a third option, I said. What's that? I run. Alone. No bond, no danger, no life worth living. Théo finished. You really think you can outrun this? Outrun us? The cars screeched to a halt 50 feet away. Doors opened. Choose, Dominic urged. Please, Luca, choose us. And standing there in the dark, with 3 alphas who'd torn through walls to find me and cars full of unknown threats approaching fast, I realized something. I'd spent 6 months learning how to breathe again. Maybe it was time to learn how to live. I took Dominic's hand. His fingers closed around mine, warm, steady, right, and the bond sang. Go, I said. We ran for the SUV. But as Théo yanked open the door, as Julien's gun came up to cover our retreat, I caught a glimpse of the approaching vehicles and saw the Beaumont family crest emblazoned on the lead car's door. Marcus had found me, and he'd brought an army. Get in the car! Dominic shoved me toward the open door, his body a shield between me and the approaching vehicles. But I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, because Marcus Beaumont was stepping out of the lead car, his salt and pepper hair perfectly styled, his custom suit immaculate even at eye. Glanced at my watch, 2 a.m. He looked exactly the same as the night he'd left me bleeding. Calm, controlled, entitled. Luca. His voice carried across the distance, smooth as expensive whiskey. There you are. I've been looking everywhere for you. Théo's hand landed on my shoulder. Luca, now. He invited me. I whispered, the pieces clicking together with horrible clarity. To the gala. The invitation Camille gave me, it was from him. Julien swore viciously in French. Oh, this gets better, Marcus called out, moving closer. 6 men flanked him, private security, built like walls. Did you really think that invitation was coincidence? That you just happened to be there when the Devereaux princes arrived? He smiled. I've been planning this for months. Dominic's control was fracturing. I could see it in the tension of his shoulders, the way his hands clenched into fists. You used him as bait. I used him as an investment. Marcus stopped 20 feet away. See? I did my research on your family's little triad curse, knew you were searching for your third, and I had the perfect candidate. An unmated omega. Broken enough to be grateful, desperate enough to be controllable. My stomach turned. The plan was simple, Marcus continued conversationally. You'd claim him publicly. I'd swoop in as his former alpha, with concerns about his stability, his history. Plan enough doubt that your family would pay me to make the problem disappear. A clean transaction. You're insane, Théo growled. I'm a businessman. Marcus's eyes finally landed on me, when the stay and the possessiveness in them made my skin crawl. Though I'll admit, I didn't expect you to look quite so radiant when you walked in tonight, Luca. Almost made me regret letting you go. You didn't let me go, I said, finding my voice. You threw me away. Any man or tale, it is our semantics. He waved a hand dismissively. The point is, you belong to me. I invested 2 years training you, shaping you into the perfect omega. You don't get to just run off with some princes because of a little chemistry. Dominic moved. One moment he was beside me. The next he had Marcus slammed against the car, forearm across his throat. Say another word about him, and I'll rip out your tongue. Marcus's security moved forward, but Julien's gun tracked them. I wouldn't. Dominic. Marcus wheezed out a laugh. So predictable. This is exactly what I counted on the bond making you reckless. Making you stupid. Dom, let him go. Théo's voice was tight. He's not worth it. Du main men si, du meng you nas. But Dominic didn't move. You hurt him. You broke his ribs, terrorized him, made him think he was worthless. I made him obedient. Marcus corrected. There's a difference. The sound Dominic made wasn't human. Stop. I grabbed Dominic's arm, and the moment my hand touched his skin, I felt it, the bond surging, wild and violent, feeding off his rage. Please. He's not worth it. He's not worth you. Dominic's eyes met mine, still blazing gold. He hurt you. I know. Tears streamed down my face. But if you kill him, you'll prove Celeste right. You'll prove the bond makes you into monsters. Something in my words broke through. Dominic released Marcus, who crumpled against the car, coughing. Smart boy, Marcus rasped. You always did know how to survive. Shut up, Julien snapped. But Marcus was looking at me now with something almost like pride. You've gotten stronger. I can see it. Maybe the princes have been good for you after all. He straightened his tie. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter. You're still legally mine. The world tilted. What? Did you think I'd let you go without insurance? Marcus pulled something from his jacket papers. Our mating contract. Signed, sealed, and registered with the Omega Protection Board. You have 2 options. Come back with me willingly, or I file a reclamation petition and have you forcibly return. That contract is void, Théo said immediately. He can break it on grounds of abuse. Can he? Marcus smiled. With what proof? His word against mine? I'm a respected alpha from a prominent family. He gestured at me. Well, you know what he is. Rage burned through my veins, white-hot and clarifying. I'm an Omega who survived you. That's what I am. Survived? Marcus laughed. Luca, you were nothing before me. A nobody from nowhere with no family, no prospects. No, he's ours. Dominic's voice cut through the air like a blade. And that contract doesn't mean shit. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Actually, it means everything. Unless, his eyes gleamed, unless they complete a claiming bond with you before the reclamation hearing. But that's in 72 hours, and a proper triad bond takes weeks to. We'll do it tonight, Julien said. My heart stopped. Théo's head whipped toward his brother. Julien. Tonight, Julien repeated, his eyes locked on Marcus. A full triad bond. Witnessed and registered. That voids any previous contract, doesn't it? Marcus's smile faltered. You can't complete a triad bond in one night. It's biochemically impossible. For normal bonds, yes. Dominic's hand found mine, threading our fingers together. But we're not a normal bond, are we, Luca? I felt it then, the pull, the recognition, the way my omega instincts were screaming, yes, yes, finally home. But my mind was screaming something else entirely. I can't. My voice broke. I can't bond to you just to escape him. That's not how this should happen. Then how should it happen? Théo moved closer, his brown eyes soft. Because from where I'm standing, the bond is already there. Has been since the moment we laid eyes on you. This just makes it official. Quote, you're asking me to tie myself to you forever based on one night. I'm asking you to trust us, Dominic interrupted. I'm asking you to take a leap of faith that maybe, just maybe, fate got it right this time. Marcus cleared his throat. Touching. Really? But unless you're planning to complete this mystical bond in the next 30 seconds, I'm taking him. His security moved forward. Julien's gun came up. Over my dead body. That can be arranged. Enough. The word tore from my throat, and something in it, some omega command I didn't know I possessed, made everyone freeze. I stepped away from Théo, from Dominic's protective stance, and walked toward Marcus. His security tensed, but he held up a hand. I'll make you a deal, I said, my voice steady despite the fear coursing through me. Give me 72 hours. Let me decide, really decide, without threats or contracts or guns. And if at the end of those 3 days I choose to come back, I swallowed hard. I'll honor the contract. I'll honor the contract. Luca. No, Dominic started. I held up a hand, silencing him. But if I choose them, you tear up that contract and walk away. Forever. Marcus studied me, calculating. And what's to stop them from simply claiming you the moment I leave? My word. I met his eyes. I won't let them bond me until the 72 hours are up. I promise. It was a terrible promise. A stupid promise. But it was the only way I could see to buy time. To figure out if this bond was real or just desperation wearing a prettier mask. Marcus smiled slowly. You always were a terrible liar, Luca. But fine. 72 hours. He stepped closer, his voice dropping. Just remember, I know every scar on your body, every nightmare that wakes you, every broken piece you try so hard to hide. He leaned in, his breath against my ear. They might promise you forever. And when you realize they can't handle the damaged, messy reality of what I made you into, you'll come crawling back. He pulled away, and I fought not to flinch. 72 hours, he repeated. Don't waste them. He got back in his car, his security following. Within moments, they were gone. I stood there shaking. Dominic's warmth suddenly behind me. Tell me you have a plan, he murmured. I have no idea what I'm doing, I admitted. His arms came around me, and I let myself lean back into him just for a moment. Then I guess, Julien said, appearing at my side. We have 72 hours to figure it out. Théo opened the SUV door. Starting now. I stared at the open SUV door like it was the mouth of something hungry. Luca. Théo's voice was gentle, patient. We need to get you somewhere safe. Safe. That word again? I turned to look at the three of them, Dominic still vibrating with barely contained violence. Julien's mask back in place, but his hands still trembling slightly. Théo watching me like he was afraid I'd shatter. Where? The question came out harsher than I intended. Where exactly is safe? Your aunt wants me gone. My ex wants me back. And you, my voice cracked, you want me to bind myself to you forever based on some cosmic dice roll. It's not a dice roll, Dominic said quietly. Isn't it? I laughed, and it sounded broken even to my own ears. You don't know me. You don't know that I have nightmares every single night, that I can't be touched without flinching, that sometimes I wake up and forget how to breathe because the panic is so. I cut myself off, wrapping my arms around my chest. You don't know what you're signing up for. Silence stretched between us, broken only by the distant sound of traffic and my ragged breathing. Then Julien spoke, his voice stripped of all its usual sharpness. I have panic attacks. Started when I was 19. My first one lasted 4 hours, thought I was dying. Still get them. Usually around 3 a.m. Théo has to talk me down. I blinked at him, stunned. I can't sleep in the dark, Théo added softly. Not since we were kids and our father locked me in the wine cellar for failing a Latin exam. Dominic still checks on me every night because some part of him thinks I'll stop breathing if he doesn't. Dominic's jaw tightened. And he exhaled slowly. I broke my hand punching a wall last month because I couldn't control my anger. Had to have surgery to fix it. So if you think you're the only one who's damaged, Chair, you're wrong. Tears blurred my vision. That's not fair. Julien moved closer. You're right. None of this is fair. Not what Marcus did to you. Not what our family's done to us. Not this bond that chose us without asking permission. But we're here anyway. His hand lifted slowly, telegraphing the movement, and brushed away a tear from my cheek. And maybe we're all just broken pieces trying to find where we fit. I let Théo help me into the SUV. The interior was leather and expensive cologne, and tension so thick I could taste it. Dominic slid into the driver's seat. Julien took shotgun. Théo sat beside me in the back, maintaining a careful foot of distance. Where are we going? I asked as the engine purred to life. Our place, Dominic said, pulling into the street. The Garden District. Private. Secure. Your aunt knows where you live. She won't come there. Not after tonight. His eyes met mine in the rearview mirror. I made myself very clear. The certainty in his voice should have been comforting. Instead, it terrified me. Because that kind of certainty meant consequences. Meant burned bridges and family rifts and stop. Théo murmured beside me. I turned to him. What? Catastrophizing. I can practically hear your thoughts spiraling. His brown eyes were warm in the dim light. One crisis at a time, remember? That's not really my strong suit. Then we'll learn together. He smiled slightly. I'm pretty good at spiraling too. Matter worse is Mani Tendan. Despite everything, I almost smiled back. The city blurred past the windows, French Quarter tourists stumbling between bars, street musicians packing up, the eternal pulse of New Orleans at night. I pressed my forehead against the cool glass and tried to remember the last time I'd felt anything resembling peace. Couldn't. Luca. Julien's voice pulled me back. He'd twisted in his seat to look at me. What Marcus said about making you into what you are. You know that's bullshit, right? Is it? I pulled my knees up to my chest, small, defensive. Because from where I'm sitting, he's not wrong. I let him control me for 2 years. Let him convince me I was worthless without him. That's on me. That's on him being a manipulative bastard, Julien shot back. You were surviving, not surrendering. There's a difference. Doesn't feel like it. Dominic's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Did he ever tell you why he targeted you specifically? The question caught me off guard. What do you mean? Marcus Beaumont has his pick of omegas. Family money, connections. Looks, he could have anyone. So why you? I'd never thought about it, never questioned it. He'd walked into the coffee shop where I was working, smiled at me across the counter, and that had been that. Or so I'd thought. You're saying it wasn't random, I said slowly. I'm saying men like Marcus don't do anything without a reason. Dominic's eyes flicked to the mirror again, and I'm going to find out what his was. We pulled up to a mansion that made the gala venue look modest. Wrought iron gates, sprawling gardens, windows that glowed warm against the night. The kind of place that existed in movies, not real life. This is where you live? My voice came out smaller than I intended. Home sweet prison, Julien muttered, climbing out. Théo shot him a look. It's not that bad. It's a museum with a kitchen. Boys. Dominic's tone was warning. I let Théo help me out of the SUV, my legs still unsteady. The drug Celeste's people had given me was wearing off, but exhaustion was taking its place. My body felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Come on, Théo said gently, his hand hovering near my elbow. Let's get you inside. The front door opened before we reached it. A woman stood in the doorway, older, maybe 60, with silver hair and kind eyes. She took one look at me and skeg. "What have you three done now?" "Margot, this is Luca," Dominic said. They're Omega," she finished, and her smile was genuine. "I can smell it from here, child. Come. You look half dead." "I'm fine." "You're bleeding." She pointed at my wrists where the zip ties had cut through skin. "And you reek of sedatives. Inside. Now. Inside." Something about her no-nonsense tone reminded me of my grandmother, the only family member who'd ever given a damn about me. Before she died and left me with nothing, I let her usher me inside. The interior was somehow both opulent and comfortable. High ceilings and crown molding, but worn leather couches and bookshelves crammed with actual books. It felt lived in, real. Margot guided me to a bathroom, Théo trailing behind. She pulled out a first aid kit and started cleaning my wrists with efficient gentleness. "They're good boys," she said quietly. "Rough around the edges, damaged in ways that don't show but good." "You don't have to sell me on them," I said. "No." She raised an eyebrow. "Then why do you look like you're planning your escape route?" Because I was. Because every instinct I had was screaming that this warmth, this safety, this belonging was a trap. A beautiful trap, but a trap nonetheless. "I don't know how to do this," I admitted. "How to trust that it won't fall apart." "Then don't trust it." She taped gauze over my wrists. "Trust yourself. Trust that you'll survive if it does fall apart because you already have." Théo knocked softly on the doorframe. "Luca, we set up the guest room for you. Whenever you're ready, guest room. Separate. Safe distance." I should have been relieved. Instead, I felt hollow. Margot patted my hand. "Go on. They won't bite, not unless you ask them to." She winked, and despite everything, I felt my face heat. Théo led me upstairs, down a hallway lined with family portraits. I caught glimpses of the three of them as children, Dominic serious even then, Julien grinning mischievously, Théo with his arm around both brothers. The guest room was beautiful. King bed with soft blue sheets, windows overlooking the gardens, and ensuite bathroom. And it felt wrong. "Théo." I caught his arm before he could leave. "That contract, the one Marcus has, is there really no way to break it?" His expression turned grim. "There are ways, but they take time. Lawyers, hearings, proof of abuse that holds up in court. And Marcus knows how to work the system. So the only way out is the bond." He stepped closer. "I know it's not ideal. I know it feels like we're rushing you. But Luca," his hand came up to cup my face, and I didn't flinch. "I meant what I said. About burning together. About figuring out how all our broken pieces fit." "What if they don't?" I whispered. "Then we'll make new shapes." His thumb brushed across my cheekbone. "But I don't think we'll have to." He leaned in slowly, giving me every chance to pull away. I didn't. His lips brushed mine, soft and questioning. Not demanding. Not taking. Just asking. "And God help me," I answered. The kiss was gentle, careful, and it broke something inside me that I hadn't realized was still holding on. When he pulled back, his eyes were dark. "Sleep. We'll figure out the rest tomorrow." He left, closing the door softly behind him. I stood there, touching my lips, feeling the ghost of his kiss, and wondering if maybe, just maybe, I was already in too deep to escape. My fingers were still pressed against my lips when I heard it. Voices. Low and urgent. Coming from somewhere below. "Kanasetakum sensen on a body setamar panses." I moved to the door, pressing my ear against the wood. The old house carried sound in strange ways through vents, between floorboards, echoing up from rooms I couldn't see. "Can't keep this from him." Théo's voice, tight with stress. "We have to." Dominic, colder than I'd heard him. "Not yet, not until." "Until what?" Julien cut in. "Until he's bonded and trapped and can't run when he finds out the truth." My blood turned to ice. "That's not what I meant." "Then what did you mean, Dom?" "Because from where I'm standing, we're doing exactly what Marcus did. manipulating him, controlling information, making decisions for him instead of with him. It's not the same, Dominic snapped. Isn't it? Silence. Then Théo, quietly. He deserves to know about the prophecy, about what completing the bond will actually do to him. The world tilted sideways. I pulled away from the door, my heart hammering against my ribs. Prophecy? What prophecy? Every instinct screamed at me to stay in the room, to pretend I hadn't heard, to deal with it in the morning when I had distance and clarity, but I'd spent 2 years pretending, ignoring red flags, letting someone else make decisions about my life. Never again. I yanked open the door and headed for the stairs. They were in what looked like a study, all dark wood and leather, and books that probably cost more than my entire existence. The three of them stood around a desk, a file folder open between them. I cleared my throat. All three heads snapped up. Luca? Théo moved first, guilt written across his face. You should be resting. What prophecy? The question landed like a grenade. Dominic's jaw clenched. Julien looked away. Théo's shoulders sagged. Tell me, I said, my voice shaking. Right now, or I walk out that door and you never see me again. You heard. It wasn't a question. I heard enough. I stepped into the room, my bare feet silent on the hardwood. So either you tell me everything right now, or Marcus was right. You're just better liars. Don't. Dominic's voice was sharp. Don't compare us to him. Then don't give me a reason to. Julien laughed bitter and broken. He's got us there. Théo picked up the folder, holding it like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Our family has a seer, has had one for generations. She's the one who told us to come to New Orleans. He paused. She's the one who told us about you. What about me? That you'd be our third. Our omega. The one who'd complete the triad bond and... He stopped. And what? My voice was ice. Dominic took over, his words careful, measured, and break the curse that's plagued our line for centuries. The one that makes every triad bond turn toxic, violent, destructive. I stared at them. So I'm what? A cure? A magical fix for your family's dysfunction? It's not like that. Then what is it like, Dominic? I was shouting now, because it sounds exactly like that. It sounds like you need me to save you, and you were going to what? Trick me into bonding before I knew what I was signing up for? We were going to tell you, Théo said quietly. When? After the bond? After it was too late? Before, he insisted. Tomorrow. We were going to tell you everything tomorrow. I don't believe you. The words hung in the air like poison. Julien flinched like I'd slapped him. That's fair. Is it? I laughed, and it sounded hysterical even to my own ears. Because nothing about this is fair. Not the bond, not the prophecy, not, my voice broke, not the fact that I wanted anyway. Silence crashed over the room. What? Dominic breathed. I want it, I repeated, tears streaming down my face now. I want the bond. I want you, all of you, and that terrifies me more than anything Marcus ever did to me, because wanting things, trusting people, believing in anything, that's how you get destroyed. Théo moved toward me, but I held up a hand. Don't. Just don't. I wiped at my face angrily. Tell me the rest. The seer's prophecy. What happens when we complete the bond? Dominic exchanged glances with his brothers, then pulled a piece of paper from the folder. His hands shook slightly as he read, 3 princes of dying blood shall find the 4th, the Omega born of ash and rebirth. In his claiming, the curse shall break or the bloodline shall end. The choice lies not in fate but in love, freely given. Born of ash and rebirth. I repeated slowly. What does that mean? We don't know, Théo admitted. The seer wouldn't elaborate. But Luca, there's more. Of course there was. Julien took over, his voice uncharacteristically gentle. Completing a triad bond is intense. It rewrites your biology on a fundamental level, ties you to us in ways that can't be undone. You'll feel what we feel, sense when we're in danger, be physically unable to be apart from us for extended periods without experiencing withdrawal symptoms. How bad? Bad enough that most triad omegas never leave their alpha's sides. His eyes met mine. You'd be giving up your independence, your freedom, everything. The room spun. And if the curse doesn't break? I forced out. If the prophecy is wrong, then we become what every Devereaux triad before us became, Dominic said quietly. Possessive, violent, insane, and we'd take you down with us. I sank into the nearest chair, my legs giving out. They were asking me to bet my entire existence on a prophecy, on love freely given, on the hope that somehow, impossibly, we'd be different from every doomed triad that came before. Why me? The question came out barely above a whisper. The seer said, born of ash and rebirth. What does that mean? Why am I special? We don't. Don't lie to me again. I looked up at Dominic. Please. He crouched down in front of me, his blue eyes level with mine. We think it has something to do with your past, with Marcus, with whatever made you the way you are. Broken, you mean. Surviving, he corrected fiercely. You survived something that should have destroyed you. You rebuilt yourself from nothing. That's not broken, Luca. His voice caught. That's the strongest thing I've ever seen. The seer also said something else. Théo added quietly. Something she made us swear not to tell you until you'd made your choice. Of course she did. I laughed weakly. What is it? The three of them looked at each other, some silent conversation I wasn't part of. Then Julien spoke. She said you'd have to choose between saving us or saving yourself, and that we had to trust you to make the right choice. The weight of it crushed down on my chest. So that's it? My voice was hollow. I either bond with you and risk losing myself, or I don't and you three go insane anyway? There's a third option, Dominic said. What? You break the bond before it fully forms. After the initial claiming, but before the final integration, there's a window, maybe 12 hours, where you could still walk away. His hand found mine, squeezing gently. It would hurt. God, it would hurt all of us. But you'd be free. Théo's face crumpled. Julien turned away, but Dominic held my gaze. Steady and certain. We won't trap you, Luca. Whatever you choose, bond with us. Walk away, try to find another option, we'll support it, even if it destroys us. I stared at our joined hands, at the way his thumb brushed across my knuckles, such a small gesture, but it felt like everything. I need time, I whispered. You have 72 hours, Julien said roughly. Though I'm guessing Marcus's deadline was intentional. He probably knows about the prophecy too, about what completing our bond would mean. The pieces clicked together with sickening clarity. He's been planning this, I breathed. All of it. The gala, the invitation, even my stomach turned, even hurting me, breaking me. He was preparing me for this. We'll kill him, Théo said simply. Once you're safe, once this is over, we'll end him. I should have been horrified by the casual violence in his voice. Instead, I felt protected, cherished, claimed, and that scared me most of all. A phone buzzed. Dominic pulled it out, his expression darkening as he read the screen. What? Julien demanded. Security footage from the gate. Dominic turned the phone around. There, in grainy black and white, stood Marcus Beaumont, and he wasn't alone. Behind him stood Celeste Devereaux, her face cold and calculating, and next to her, my heart stopped. Next to her stood the seer. Merdy, Julien breathed, because the seer was holding something. A small vial filled with dark liquid, and she was smiling. The vial gleamed like poison under the security lights. What is that? I asked, though some part of me already knew. Bond breaker. Dominic's voice was hollow. Permanent. Irreversible. One drop, and the connection severs forever. Théo finished. Even between soulmates. I watched the screen as Marcus gestured animatedly, Celeste nodding, the seer standing perfectly still with that terrible smile on her face. They're working together, I said numbly. All of them. This was never about the prophecy. It was about control. Julien's hands clenched into fists. Marcus gets you back. Celeste gets rid of the threat to the family. And the seer, he stopped, gets paid. Dominic finished bitterly. She was never loyal to us, just to whoever paid more. The intercom crackled to life. Marcus's voice, smooth as ever. Luca, I know you can hear me. Come out. Let's talk like civilized people. I stood on shaking legs. I'm going down there. Absolutely not. He has a bond breaker. I looked at each of them in turn. If he gets in here, if he forces that on us, we lose everything. But if I go out there, if I talk to him, he'll take you. Théo's voice cracked. And we'll never get you back. Then come with me. The words spilled out before I could stop them. All three of you. Let's end this. Together. We walked out the front door as a unit, me in the center. Three alphas flanking me like warriors. The night air was thick with jasmine and threat. Marcus stood at the gate, Celeste beside him, the seer behind them, both like a shadow. 6 security guards formed a semicircle. There he is. Marcus's smile was venomous. Looking a bit rough, mon cher. Have the princes been treating you well? Better than you ever did, I said. My voice steady despite the fear coursing through me. His smile tightened. Still so defiant. I'd hoped they might have trained that out of you by now. We don't train people, Dominic growled. We respect them. How progressive. Celeste's voice was ice. And how utterly foolish. Respect doesn't build empires, nephew. Control does. Is that what you call it? Julien laughed darkly. Because from where I'm standing, you're so desperate to maintain control that you've allied with a con artist and an abuser. The seer's smile never wavered. Such harsh words, young prince. I showed you your destiny. Not my fault you misunderstood it. Born of ash and rebirth. I said quietly, and all eyes turned to me. You made them think I was special, that I could break their curse. But that was never true, was it? Oh, it's true. The seer tilted her head, just not in the way they hoped. You see, Luca Moreau, or should I say, Luca Beaumont Archambault, the world stopped. What? I breathed. Did you never wonder why Marcus chose you? Why Etienne Archambault was so interested in protecting you at the gala? Her eyes glittered. You're not nobody from nowhere, child. You're the illegitimate son of 2 of Louisiana's most powerful families, abandoned, hidden, but never truly forgotten. Marcus stepped forward. Your mother was my cousin. Your father was Etienne's brother. When they died in that fire 15 years ago, you should have died too. But you survived. Ash and rebirth. My legs gave out. Théo caught me, holding me upright. You're lying, I whispered. Am I? Marcus pulled out a photograph, faded, smoke-damaged. 2 people I'd never seen but somehow knew. My mother's eyes, my father's smile. You have his nose, her stubbornness, and both their bloodlines running through your veins. Which makes you, Celeste added coldly, far too dangerous to leave unclaimed. You're not just any Omega, Luca. You're heir to 2 fortunes, 2 territories, 2 seats of power. And Marcus's legal claim to you through family blood supersedes any bond. That's insane. That's law. She smiled. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to take the bond breaker. You're going to sever whatever connection you've formed with my nephews, and you're going to come with Marcus where you belong, where you've always belonged. And if I refuse? The seer held up the vial. Then I force it down your throat, and you lose the choice entirely. At least this way, you get to keep your dignity. Dominic moved in front of me, his body a shield. You'll have to go through us. Gladly, Marcus said, and his security moved forward. Wait. My voice cut through the tension. I'll take it. No. Théo's grip tightened. Let me go, I said quietly. To Théo, to all of them. Trust me, please. Slowly, reluctantly, they released me. I walked forward on shaking legs, past Dominic's protective stance, past Julien's murderous glare, past Théo's breaking heart. I stopped in front of the seer. Give it to me, I said. She handed over the vial, her smile triumphant. I held it up to the light, watching the liquid swirl. You know what's funny? I said conversationally. For my entire life, I've let other people make choices for me. My mother, whoever she was, choosing to hide me. Marcus choosing to break me. I looked at the seer. Choosing to manipulate everyone for profit. I uncorked the vial. Marcus stepped forward eagerly. That's right. One sip, but here's the thing about being born from ash and rebirth. I met his eyes. You learn that some things are worth burning for. And I threw the vial at the ground. It shattered. Dark liquid spreading across the concrete like blood. No! Celeste lunged forward, but it was already gone. Already seeping into the earth. You little. Marcus reached for me. Dominic's fist connected with his jaw before he got within a foot. Marcus went down hard. Chaos erupted. Security rushed forward. Julien's gun appeared. Théo pulled me back toward the house. But then, the seer laughed. Not the controlled, calculating laugh from before. This was genuine. Delighted. Oh, you beautiful boy, she said, and her entire demeanor changed. You finally made a choice. Not because you were told to, not because you were manipulated, but because you wanted to. I stared at her. What? The prophecy. She stepped over Marcus's groaning form. It was never about breaking the curse through some magic bloodline. It was about breaking it through choice. Every Devereaux triad before this one failed because the Omega was forced, coerced, or manipulated into bonding. The curse wasn't biological, it was trauma, resentment. Bonds formed without genuine consent. Dominic's eyes widened. You mean, your Omega just chose you? The seer's smile turned soft. Knowing the risks, knowing his heritage, knowing he could walk away and claim 2 fortunes for himself. And he chose you anyway. That's what breaks the curse. Love freely given. But you were helping them. I was testing him. Testing all of you. She looked at Celeste. And you failed, Celeste Devereaux. You'll leave New Orleans tonight and never return. That was the agreement. Celeste's face went white. You said, I said I'd reveal the truth. I never said whose side I was on. The seer turned to Marcus, who was struggling to his feet. And you, Marcus Beaumont, your contract is void. Luca Moreau, or should I say, Luca Archambault Beaumont, has more legal claim to you than you ever had to him. I'd suggest you disappear before he decides to exercise it. Marcus looked at me with something like fear. Go, I said quietly. And if I ever see you again, I won't stop them from killing you. He went. The gate closed. The security dispersed. Celeste and the seer vanished into the night, and I stood there shaking, barely believing what had just happened. Luca. Dominic's hands cupped my face, his eyes searching mine. What you just did was insane, I finished. I know, but I meant what I said. About burning. About choosing. You chose us, Théo breathed. I chose me. I corrected. I chose to stop running, to stop letting fear make my decisions. And yeah, I looked at all 3 of them. These broken, beautiful alphas who'd torn through walls to find me. I chose you too. Julien's laugh was wet. You're either the bravest person I've ever met or the most reckless. Can I be both? Mon Dieu, I'm going to marry you. We're all going to marry him, Dominic said, and the possessiveness in his voice should have scared me. Instead, it felt like home. Théo pulled me into his arms, and I finally let myself collapse. Let myself be held. Let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, this was real. The bond, I murmured against his chest. We still need to. Tomorrow, he said gently. When you're ready. When you're sure. I'm sure now. Then tonight. Dominic's hand found mine, threading our fingers together. Together. All of us. And as we walked back into the house past Margot's knowing smile, up the stairs, into a future I couldn't predict but suddenly wasn't afraid of, I realized something. I'd spent 6 months learning how to breathe again, but it took 3 broken alphas and a shattered prophecy to teach me how to live. 3 months later. You're staring again, I said without looking up from my book. Dominic didn't even try to deny it. Can't help it. You're in my chair. Our chair. I corrected, shifting to make room for him. The bond had settled into something beautiful and terrifying, a constant hum of connection that let me feel their emotions, their presence, their love like a living thing. It had been intense, overwhelming. Everything the seer had warned about. Undabi, in seer in W, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. Théo appeared in the doorway, 2 cups of coffee in hand. Margot says dinner's in 20 minutes. Where's Julien? Dominic asked. On the phone with the lawyers. Apparently, claiming your inheritance is bureaucratic hell. Théo smiled. His words, not mine. My inheritance. 2 family fortunes I'd never known existed. Properties, investments, power. Etienne had appeared 3 days after the bond was complete, tears in his eyes, calling me nephew, calling me family. I'd cried for a week. Oh, Théo added casually. Marcus filed for bankruptcy. Something about all his assets mysteriously being seized by the Louisiana Omega Protection Board for contract violations. I looked up at Dominic. You didn't. His smile was sharp. I absolutely did. I love you, I said. I know. The bond sang between us, mine and his, and Théo's and Julien's, all woven together into something unbreakable, something chosen. Hey! Julien called from down the hall. Get in here, all of you. You need to see this. We found him in the study, laptop open, face pale. What? Dominic demanded. Julien turned the screen around. A news article. The headline read, Devereaux Triad Bond. First in century to survive past 5 years, experts baffled. Below it, a photo of the 4 of us at some charity event last week, me tucked between them, all of us smiling like we'd discovered the secret to happiness. Maybe we had. We broke it, Théo breathed. The curse. We chose each other, I said simply. That's all it ever was. Dominic pulled me close, his lips brushing my temple. Best choice I ever made. Second best, Julien corrected, appearing at my other side. First was not killing Marcus when I had the chance. Bankruptcy is so much more satisfying. I laughed, genuine, full, free, and felt the bond pulse with warmth. 3 princes had walked into a ballroom and claimed me in front of everyone who'd ever doubted me. And I'd claim them right back. Do you believe fate brings lost souls back together? Or do we choose our own destiny? If this story touched you, subscribe for more BL Omegaverse tales where broken hearts find their way home.